response.
But you see, Governor Fashola, it's you've mentioned basically high brow to medium income areas. What about those areas that everybody doesn't really want to go to? The Mushins, the Shomoludu, is where we have...
I mentioned those areas for specific reasons. Those estates were built by Lagos State government. Don't forget, the whole distribution area of Ikeja has been sold. The whole distribution area of Lagos has been sold. Now, you know what? We can sit down and twiddle our thumb and wait for anything to happen and when it will happen. Okay? Now, but the point is, where is the easiest way to make an impact? You see, people have lived on promises and promises, and my sense of management is that demonstrate that it is possible, and then you can retail down. When we started the public lighting process, we started on Aolo Road in Ikoyi, but we are now in Lawansin, we are in Itire, we are in Ipaja, we are in Shomolu, we are in Bariga. But we have to start somewhere first to demonstrate that this thing is possible. And another reason for that is that all of the distribution assets in those estates I mentioned were provided by Lagos State government. The transformers, the wiring, the poles and everything. And I said, look, let's see what deal we can work out here. You know, the story becomes more credible if you begin to hear at least from one part of Lagos that our power doesn't go again. For me, that is a serious sense of management that it is beginning to happen. It will get to our turn.
So let me take you back to something you mentioned. You said you visited the Apapa rails. The Lagos State government has been working on a light rail from Maltu to Badagry, passing through the National Theatre. How far gone is this project? Because we know that the state has had to take bonds, do bond tranches and the rest of it to fund this project. And if charity begins at home, they say, you want to set your house right before you begin to go outside to go and start pointing out somebody else who hasn't cleaned his own backyard. Well, so we have that project still pending.
Well, that's quite perhaps not the exact way to measure it. That charity has started at home because Lagos State is the one that bears the burden of the lack of a national railway. About 90% or close to it of the cargo, rice, vegetable oil, cement, iron rod, and all of the imports that come into Nigeria pass through our roads. We pay a very, very heavy toll in terms of the life expectancy of our roads because of that problem. And the earlier it is solved, the earlier we will breathe a sigh of relief. Roads that should last 25 years are lasting less than that. That is one. Back to the light rail. The light rail is exactly not of the same calibration and capacity or purpose for an industrial and national railway to move heavy cargo. That's not what the light rail is designed for. It's for intracity transport within the city as a faster, safer, and more urbane way to move people. Where are we? We have finished 4 stations. My 2 station is finished. Alaba station is finished. Orile station is finished. And Costain station is finished. So 4 stations are finished. And that's a track of about 7 kilometers, all done and dusted. We are now crossing from Costain to Marina, which is another 5-point-something kilometers. And we should finish that by early next year, hopefully before the end of Q1. And that will give us 12 kilometers of track line ready to run. So at some point next year, some early testing and hopefully some early service may start because rails are built in sections. But there's still the very, very big problem, power. To power, we know what trains we want to use now. Where is the energy coming from? So this is really the determinant. And until we get it right, we're not going anywhere. Now, we've debated and we've shut down the idea of using diesel engines because it's not environmentally friendly. It's inconsistent with everything we have advocated about protection of the environment. So power is the real deal. And these are the basis for, so we're talking to a few people, we're trying to say, and these are some of the issues we're trying to say, look, how can we get this thing up and running? Yes, we know it's now in private hands, but government at the municipal level can still participate with you and catalyze these things. And why can we do that? We've done the Akute power plant to supply power to our waterworks, the Iju waterworks and the Adiyan waterworks. Those are the only waterworks that I know in this country now that have their own independent power. We've done the Lagos Island power plant, which services the State House, the Island Maternity General Hospital, Zone 2 Police Command, Lion Building, City Hall, the e-learning center, and about 11 schools, and the Dolphin Waterworks. We've done the Alausa power plant. We're finishing the Ikeja power plant. We're in pre-commissioning testing now, and hopefully the Lekki power plant should finish before the end of this year to add to our capacity to supply water to Lekki. But that's all we can do unless the discos open the door and say, let's create some partnership here so that we can take power to the homes.
So let's talk about the efforts of the Lagos State government to ensure that they consolidate the position that they have at the moment of being the largest economy.
Well, consolidation requires first that you make what you have achieved an attitude rather than an accident. And that requires you to continue to build people, to continue to reinforce good habits and drop not so salutary habits. And that's one of the things we did, excuse me, at our last retreat. And it's part of my getting to go retreats. And I think I have about 268 days left to get out. So, but that's it really. And making sure now that institutions can take responsibility. So people don't need to have my telephone number in order to fix a road anymore. There's an agency, the Public Works Corporation, that does that. People don't need to call the governor. If there's a broken street lamp, there's an agency, the Lagos State Electricity Board, the Water Corporation is there, the Waste Management Board is up and running, and so on and so forth. And therefore, I think it's easy to continue to run with this and improve upon it. It's no longer, as I said, this state can't continue to run on an action governor. It must run on an action government.
So now, talking about action government, a lot of people have said the cost of governance is one of the problems that usually mitigates the growth of an economy, whether federal or whether state.
How is that so? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, that's the argument.
Help me understand the cost of governance.
Yes, because they say sometimes the cost of governance is pretty high.
Well, when you look at our cost of governance, I think we are one of the earliest governments to make it a conscious effort to reduce the cost of doing government business by reducing our recurrent expenditure gradually over the years. This is the last 2 years we've had anything close to a 58-42 budget capital to recurrent ratio. In previous years, we've done 60-40, 61-39. And when you look at the way our budgets have been implemented, there's no year that we have delivered in terms of budget expectation, performance, actual performance, less than 70%. And in the last 2-3 years, we are now in the high 80s. Last year, we closed at 85%. The year before, we closed at 89%. And I don't know any government in this part that has recorded such actual budget performance. And that's why you can connect the budget performance with the development we have been talking about, from housing to agriculture to transportation. And look, we've talked about the rail. Perhaps you haven't gone to look at the waterways, even if the work there is not finished. Today, by policy, by investment, and by strategic interventions, we have close to 200 water taxis running on Lagos waterways today, private capital funded, and bigger ferries are coming. The throughput today on our waterways from about 100 and something thousand in 2007, we're moving 3 million people every month on Lagos waters.
Which means the state is actually enjoying PPP, that's PPP arrangement.
Yes, it's part of the total spend of government. Why are they interested? Just like you build roads, perhaps people don't know, you have to dredge waterways. Just like you mark lanes on highways, you have to put signals and buoys and navigation equipment there. And that's what we're doing. And just like you build car parks and bus stops, you have to build ferry terminals. So all of these are things that we have put in place, and people are seeing that there's a serious commitment here to improve water transportation. And these are the final outputs of budgets. So they are not budgets that hang in the air, budgets whose impact you cannot measure. And in terms of sustainability, we have already designed and adopted a sustainable development plan for Lagos up to 2025. That's what we'll be handing over. How to ramp up some of the areas where we haven't gained traction. Wastewater treatment, for example, sewage, increased water supply. The Adion Phase 2 water project is now under construction, should be finished in 2016. So what the next government simply needs to do is fund it to completion. We've commissioned it, it started, and switch it on in 2016.